Welcome in, Cappies. Let's get to your part 2. We had a lot of interest in a part 2 to the last message that we had. Thank you. Welcome to Auntie Chats and Tarot. Thank you for supporting this channel. I really appreciate it. Please do like this video, hype this video, share it, subscribe to the channel, and comment below. Remember, not everything's going to resonate here, but take what does and leave the rest. Take what helps you to help yourself and leave the rest, knowing you're in charge of what you let in your life and what you don't. So I took some notes from, because I do a lot of reads, but I took some notes from the last message that there was several requests for a part 2. And it talks about finding your 10 of Cups, also being linked, however, to the toxicity and the emotional past. Childhood was talked about, and patterns from the past and in your childhood, and maybe having to be too strong or not be in touch with your feelings, and how that's bubbling up right now. And Spirit's saying in the previous message, go with that flow, let the emotions out. Now, I did take notes, as I think I mentioned, but this reading with a part 2 is really a focus in on loving oneself, embracing this change as you're embracing your emotions here. Again, things bubbling up from the past and you coming back to you, and definitely an uncomfortable past intertwined there, okay? Toxicity, lack mentality, something from your childhood along those lines, and an exhaustion from patterns of the past, patterns in your childhood, okay? But this was also kind of leading into a message of those repressed emotions now bubbling up, and embrace them. And also is something about doing for others, where now you're saying, yeah, put that same energy towards yourself and do for self, okay? So let's see where we can go here from that jumping off point to a part 2 here. Let's dive right into part 2. Knight of Swords is out here now, and the King of Wands. And I feel like some of you, not a large group, but enough to mention it, are even like someone's trying to intimidate you to not grow here. They're trying to make you somehow intimidated as you try to grow and embrace these feelings and talk about the past. Or maybe that's not going to be helpful to talk about the past. Maybe other people don't want to go there, but you go there. You go there in a meditative state, or you go where it's comfortable for you to quiet the mind so that you can do the healing there. Or you go there with a professional, or you go there in a way that's healing for you, okay? I feel like the 10 of Cups that's trying to get to you is trying to in a very strong way. But there's some manipulations here, perceived leaders. And again, I think they are perceived only because when you were a child, they were the leaders who, you know, they're used to maybe throwing tantrums to get their way, and they don't want to return to the past, and they don't want you to return to the past. And for some reason, they don't want you to heal, maybe even here. Let's see if that's correct, that last bit. Are they standing in the way of your healing, and why? 8 of Pentacles. Yeah, they just don't want you to get back in alignment. And also I'm feeling like the work you do here for self, you could tentacle that out to others and help others, maybe in the family. And that's something very intimidating to them. Or you're offering help to this person who's kind of throwing a fit. Definitely their leadership qualities are cracking, and you're seeing, yeah, I only followed you as a leader because I didn't know any better at 6, 7, 8. You know, you name it'll be different for everybody, but you name the age. I feel like 6 could be very significant as 6 comes out here, 6 of Cups. And look at how you perceive this as a child, okay? Just someone bigger is the lead. And what are they feeding you here? You know, I'd like to think this card is talking about a lot of positivity. Or is that you? Is that you that had to bring the positivity in to the situation? Maybe a little of both. What about this 6 of Cups? The Sun. The happiness. What about those two together? The Page of Wands, jumping all around, coming out in the reverse. But could have gone the other way too, I feel. Yeah. I feel like in your past, sometimes there was an opportunity. I mean, you do come from a lack, those of you who are resonating with this, because we talked about that in part 1. A lack mentality, a lack energy. Sometimes there was opportunity to follow your passions, and you were interested in a lot of different things, but then there was always this lack. Maybe you heard maybe a lot, and maybe always meant no, or there weren't any fundings there, or something like that. Or someone is afraid to grow, so they didn't know how to teach their kids to grow. Were they an adult that was afraid to grow, so they couldn't be a good leader there as far as showing you, but maybe you were still very happy with them. Because I feel like there's a lot of confusion surrounding the happiness here. And it's even hard to put into words. Like, I'm having a hard time saying. 10 of Pentacles, 2 of Swords, 8 of Swords, 8 of Swords in the reverse, okay? 10 of Pentacles. You are meant for something this leader can't even imagine. You are meant for utter abundance, just off the charts abundance that brings further abundance to future generations, okay? Like your empire, whether that's emotional stability, whether that's literal monetary things, an empire of sorts, that can mean a lot of different things, but it's total and utter abundance that you then share with multiple generations to come, okay? Your leader, whether you really love them a great deal or you found them impeding your progress as a child, and I feel like a lot of you are very inquisitive and sharp like that, like adults in little bodies, but with adult old soul mentality, and you knew what adults were hindering you or needed to grow up more at a young age. But there is some sense of, but I still very much love that person. Yeah. A lot of confusion here about that person and happiness for them too. But your feelings towards them, but also how they viewed happiness. 2 of Swords out here, as I mentioned, and the 8 of Swords tells me that what you're trying to do is block just anything that holds you back. I feel like this leader held you back, and you love them, but maybe they were a fear monger, and, there is something about you didn't always pursue everything you were interested in because there was a lack mentality, not the funds, but also just a fear by this leader of the unknown. But you yourself are not. I feel like you're fearless. Yeah, here you are, strength. You always had the strength. And you wanted the opportunities. The opportunities weren't coming, or they didn't come all the time, something like that. But let's get back to, my notes say we were trying to get to the 10 of Cups here. What is your ultimate 10 of Cups? And I feel like what we found was definitely it's tied to the emotions and riding that roller coaster for a little while, because there was also a sense of this for the first time. I don't know. I just don't know. And I don't know where I'm going, and I don't know where I'm headed, and I'm just flooded with emotions from the past. And to lean into that and really feel what you feel and release the guilt there, or the feeling like you can't take the time for this, or that you're just not an emotional person. Because remember, we also talked about in part 1 about how you had to grow up really fast. And so anything, let's see, I wrote it down exactly, being exhausted by childhood patterns, and where you wanted where you've wanted help, you've not found it, making poor choices with certain people as you've gotten older. But also there was something about being young and having to be strong, and not, even though you were very emotional, adults telling you to shut that down. Okay, so that's just a trip down memory lane into part 1. Part 2, the Hangman in the reverse. You're coming out of this emotional, and I feel like, or you're getting close to that, because I feel like you're back into some sort of succinctness with yourself, or you're close to that. And it has to do with a lot of enlightenment now. Or you're on your way. You're on your way. 9 of Wands in the reverse. Coming out of being exhausted, by this, by all of this, by this past, by trying to find your 10 of Cups, by embracing a lot of these emotions coming at you now. I'm being guided to let you know that your happiness should be in your strength that you've always had, and knowing that the Ten of Cups is meant for you. So if you are ever doubting that, and I don't think you are, I feel like you've always felt like, I'm very special. I'm a special kid, now I'm a special adult, or young adult. And there's something about, I resonate with that Ten of Cups card, which talks about, I am the playmaker. I'm the difference maker. I always have been. I was as a kid. I helped others as I helped myself. And generational wealth here. Abundance. A wealth that is defined individually by each person listening here is the way I'd like to say that. You're getting your ducks in a row. You're starting to put it together. You're starting to feel it. I feel like from part one, when it was kind of like, I don't know what's going on, I'm embracing these emotions, or I'm going to try. Part two is more, you're getting there. You're getting through those emotions. You're seeing the patterns. You're seeing what's healthy for you now. And I feel like there's more of a sense of finding order that's individual to you. It'll be customized with each person listening, but I feel like you're getting in some sort of rhythm, sync. In part one, you were like, whoa, what is all this? This is the floodgates, okay? Now I feel like some order is starting to be restored. Let's see. The Hermit in the reverse. Coming out of hermiting. Coming out with enlightenment now. You've spent some time with these thoughts and these emotions. That's coming out enlightened. Four of Swords. Coming out of being completely drained, of emotional drain, of emotionally being scattered, of I am just completely burnt out type energy. Coming out of that, okay? The Knight of Wands in the reverse, the Queen of Wands in the reverse. But there's still somebody in your energy that's very much like, they make knee-jerk decisions. It's very chaotic. Their decisions are, it's like they haven't grown up. I see youthful, young child energy. Somebody who is very volatile, or they make choices like that, not thinking. And here you have spent all this time thinking and gained so much enlightenment. This is what's not for you. This is the Queen of Wands now, with this Knight of Wands energy that I'm seeing. And I feel like someone's very, here are your King and Queen of Wands in the reverse. Two people, or this could just be, someone pretty strong in your life who does not want, there's jealousy here. If you're healing, then I have to do the work, okay? And I'm not up for this, or I don't want to do this. Or maybe there's somebody that just is flat out lazy in your life. Did you grow up with an adult who was just lazy? You had to do the work, okay? This is this person. They don't want you to heal, and they sure heck don't want to do the work, okay? Let's just put it that way. So, they'd like everybody to be, accepting of their knee-jerk responses and shucking responsibility. And then we've always been like that, so let's always stay like that. That's the hurt from the past. Those are the patterns that have, driven you crazy, driven you mad, driven you, angry, driven you to a point of part one, where it was like an emotional floodgate, a tidal wave of emotions, okay? I think that was the catalyst. Okay, Two of Wands. But here we are in part two. And this card is so profound, because this talks about, do I stay where it's comfortable? Oh yeah, people want you to stay where it's comfortable, because then they can always use your energy, or like I said, they don't want to do the work. Or they're lazy, or you're the hustler, so let's not change things up. Do you stay where it's comfortable, or do you move forward where it's challenging, and then the reward is tenfold because you have pushed yourself to maybe areas that are uncomfortable, but you've also got big rewards because you've done that. You've been bold, you've been courageous. You haven't stayed where it's comfortable. Life isn't about that. Life isn't about staying where it's comfortable. It's about enjoying the comforts, sure, and enjoying the fruits of your labor, but then it's finding the next thing, don't you think? Or, I feel like life is that way. You're always looking to achieve the next thing or to experience the next thing. It's not staying where it's comfortable. But a lot of people do live like that. But that, I feel like, if you're resonating with this message, is not your style. Okay? Death in the reverse. Yeah. Stay where it's comfortable and you'll always get what you've always gotten, is what the cards are saying here in the energy. That's not your style. That's like the complete opposite of how you look at life. Not these two, however. This is exactly how they look at life. And this might be the leaders, we'll just call them the leaders of when you were younger, okay? So you're reevaluating that, how you grew up. And it's not you, and it's not going to be your future. And I feel like that's how things are starting to line up now. That's how you're starting to get the order back, because you're saying, yeah, I can still have relationships with these people and still care about them, but it's not their life and their structure isn't mine. I know what my structure is now. I'm putting it together. Piece by piece. Okay. Yeah, loyalty to self. Remember, that was really important, coming back to self, love of self. Yeah, all key elements to this read. What else do we have here? Love of self. That's huge. That's huge. And maybe these leaders didn't know how to show you love. And that's also part of the problem. Okay. That's part of the patterns. And that came out in as you started in your dating life, then you were picking people that you were trusting that you shouldn't have been. Okay. Because you've never shown really love, or you feel like you don't have a sense of it. Okay. But you're working through that, okay? And it doesn't happen overnight, these changes, but it does happen. 7 of Swords in the reverse and the Star. This is knowing, the illusions that you grew up with and what's not for you. Like, I can know love, and I can give myself love, and I will know how to define what it is I'm looking for in love. And if I don't see that in a person, I don't just settle. I don't trust them and hope for the best. Oh, I'm very discerning, okay? It's more of a discerning energy now as you put the pieces together, as you start building your foundation and your empire, okay? Star in the reverse, yeah. So it's an illusion here that you can't be healthy, that maybe you grew up with, and I feel like you're having none of that anymore. We've always been a group that, struggled. We've always been a family that was in lack. We've always been a family who was unhealthy, did unhealthy things. You're walking away from that. You're saying, look, I'm in charge of what I put in my mind. I'm in charge of what I go after. I'm in charge of the wishes and dreams that I pursue. I'm in charge of my mindset, which will be very key to everything else, a domino effect. And I keep a positive mindset, and that makes the difference. That is the difference, the moon. Yeah, because you can see where others, they just don't see. They don't have the enlightenment that you've worked hard at, or you're in the midst of right now, working hard at. They just haven't put in the time. They haven't put in the work. Maybe they think they can mooch off of you, but I think primarily they just don't want you to be healed, because then they feel a certain way about it. But I think you were kind of in the dark about some of this stuff, about how you're in charge of healing. You can be the difference maker there in healing yourself. And I feel like you're saying to yourself, I bought into the illusion that I couldn't be healed. And now I see where before I didn't, that I'm in charge and I can be healed. I can be the difference maker, and I can bring abundance to this family with my strength. Abundance that lasts for generations. 10 of Pentacles, keep coming back to that. And your strength, keep coming back to that. The Strength card. Okay, the Tower. This is a good Tower, I feel. The fact that you went, wow, I'm in charge? Wow. Mind blow. I'm in charge? It's an illusion that I can't ever be healed. I was buying into, we're just an unhealed group, and that's how we live. I'm in charge of being healed. I can take the reins here. I can make a difference. I can go after what I want. I don't have to accept lack. I can love myself. I can have a positive mindset. Boom. What? I didn't see this. Now I do. Now you do. Okay? Now you do. Two of Pentacles, yeah, you're going to get very busy and you're going to get very successful. Okay? You're going to be very successful and very busy with your successes. Pentacles, monetary, abundance. But I also want to throw in, the swirling energy of confusion and emotions. I feel like that swirls around you, daily. But I feel like you're getting more grounded and you're standing in your power, in your authenticity. And I think it'll always swirl. And every day you just stand up again in it, and it's the daily work, okay? It's not easy. But you know how to stand now instead of saying, I'm a victim of my circumstances. No, you're not buying into that anymore. I'm the successful King of Pentacles because I've decided I am, okay? Ace of Wands and the King of Cups. They're both in the reverse, so let's take a moment here. Yeah, rejecting. Okay, so there's something here about rejecting really emotional people. I feel like we're talking about manipulations here, or, you're used to very manipulative emotional types, the leaders from the past in your childhood. And so I feel like that's a nod to what you've accepted in personal relationships. But I feel like you're not doing that anymore because it's just brought about a lot of pain for you, Three of Swords. This is also saying, you were taught, again, that was in part one, to kind of to stay strong and ignore your feelings. And I think with regards to your personal feelings, it is more of an energy of embrace them. That is part of the healing process. Yeah, Ace of Swords, that's the truth. Know the truth. Know your truth. Know your truth. Yeah. Know your truth. That's the key too. Know your truth and know your happiness. Yeah, and that keeps the disappointments at bay. That keeps the tough times at bay. That keeps the dark clouds at bay. Remember, the mindset is so important, positive mindset. Anything that's out of the box, you were kind of told, or out of the box thinking, or what you were interested, you were kind of told, yeah, that's just not for us. I feel like that's clarity you've gotten on that illusion. I think you were told a lot of things weren't for you, okay? But you're a go-getter, so it goes against every grain in your essence, every cell in your body. So, yeah, there is some element of addressing that too as the emotions flood, and you're getting better with the emotions and the flooding, of rejecting that kind of mentality. Don't worry about what other people are saying about you. Always think big. Always think big. And walk away from those who aren't thinking big. Because you're meant for big things and you know this. Okay? So shut down what isn't mirroring you or parallel to you or running with you in harmony. Okay? Shut what isn't working in that regard. Because there's always new beginnings waiting for you. And when you don't shut this stuff down, it just becomes burdensome to you. Yeah. And it's like a hoarding, or maybe that was part of it. The lack mentality was growing up with hoarders. Yeah. Defending yourself, in unhealthy environments. Yeah, leap away from that and embrace what you love. And part two, so important. Part one, we touched on it a lot too. Love thyself. Very, very key. Walk away from social situations that are imbalanced and don't fit with this new you that you're running with now. But it's got to feel authentic. This new you is a sense of authenticity like never before. Yeah, because you've placed judgment on your past in your life and you're moving forward. And you've placed judgment on situations that you were forced to be worried when you're way too young to be worried about things, okay? Yes, yes, yes. Release the toxicity. People definitely could owe you apologies, but I just wouldn't expect them. I would just look at this as, thank you. Thank you, Divine, for helping me move forward on the path that I'm really supposed to be on for my 10 of Cups. And that has everything to do with a past where you weren't investing in yourself, but everybody else you were investing in and helping everybody else. And that was lack. That always showed you lack. Okay? To, I stand on my own 2 feet and I have immense abundance, so much abundance that I can, if I so choose, to give to others, and I think it's important to be discerning there because of the fact that you've been pulled so thin by different individuals in your life. It's not that you're stingy by any means. You're very giving, but be discerning where that is concerned. And I do see a lot of abundance where you have enough for self and for others, but the message is be discerning who those others are and who you give to, okay? And if people think that's cold, just recognize that as more a manipulation because they want you to be a certain way and do, be your old self and do for them, okay? If someone's saying you that what's healthy for you and what makes you happy is you being cold to them, that's their problem, okay? That is their problem. You move forward with love and your 10 of Cups meets you. Yeah. And no more of this feeling that I can get my 9 of Cups. We said this in part 1. I can get my 9 of Cups, but it's the 10 of Cups I can't achieve. Why can't I achieve that? Mindset. Of course you can. Go after what you love. Go after what you love. Keep the engine running. Keep the wheels turning. No more lack. No more lack mentality. No more lack. That is your part 2, Capricorn. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please do like this video, subscribe to the channel, hype the video, share the video, and comment below. You have asked for the part 2, and here it is. I hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you. Until next time. Oh, I knew there's a part I was missing. Until next time. Let's remember who we are, and let's remember our self-worth. Thanks.